And I'm going to get on there and share. Yay. Good morning, you guys.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome, welcome. Welcome to She's Velvet Steel. It's our favorite day of the week. Good morning, you guys. I'm going to jump on here.
Good morning.
Welcome. And share it. So how is everybody doing this morning?
Excellent.
we're getting all of our technology figured out this morning. So boom, I got it shared. So welcome, you guys. We're super pumped to have you with us this morning. And we've got a special guest, Johanna, joining us. Hello, Johanna.
Hello.
We've got a really, really cool topic planned for you guys today too, on just the simple practicals of planning and all that stuff. So, but before we jump into that, first, I want to say thank you to Martin Luther King Jr. Just really quick. Well, first, thanks that all of our children are home today. I don't know how good that was in our practicals of planning. But, really taking a look at the life that he led, it was super countercultural. He was very bold in his love. And he really led with a lot of grace. And I saw him as being this man of courage and strength for other people. If they wanted the confidence behind them to make changes for the good, he was that wall of strength behind them. So I love teaching my kids about this day. One of my favorite quotes from Martin Luther King Jr. is, "I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear." So just super inspiring to know that change is possible individually, right? But then also as a society as well. And that really is what SVS is about as well. So if this is your first time joining us, give us a little wave emoji in the comments. We love to see who is our first time guests. And then also, if you're coming back to join us for another coffee talk, we're so glad you joined us. We're so glad you came back. And give a shout out to the other newbies on the comment thread. So a little circle of hellos, because that's what we are. We're a community. We're a community of women that we want to support each other. So let me introduce you guys to everybody. Jamie and Ollie, down in the bottom right. They're joining us from Billings. Hi, Ollie. Is Ollie a boy?
Yeah, and he really wants to be with Cece right now. He was sniffing at the door behind them. See, there's the white door there. He was outside of that door. And so now he's like, all right, you called me over, then let me on the screen.
I love it. All right, so Ollie might make some little guest appearances throughout the morning. And then we've got Reagan joining us from sunny Cali. Look at those guns. Do that again.
I know. Can I please just tell everybody that I did work out today? I noticed two of my workout buddies just logged in. So Brooke, Danielle, I got it. I just want to log it in. Not that I need that affirmation. I do it solely for myself, right? But just saying.
Well, but let me ask you, did you plan to work out today? Yesterday, did you know you were going to work out this morning?
I did. So already, do I even need this? I'm just going to log out now. I'm already on track.
Got it all figured out. And then, of course, we have Cece joining us from Billings as well. And then Johanna, we're so excited to have you with us.
Hey.
So really quick, I want to give you guys a lowdown of what She's Velvet Steel is. I know all of us get the question all the time, like, what is this? What are you guys doing? And one of our things, we're really a community of women, and we live loved, and we pursue our purpose with an unshakable faith. We love to live out our kindness courageously. We love to live by James 4:10. You got to look it up. Just living humbly. And our goal is to live in freedom in Christ. That is our goal. But I say all that, and I say we live loved, and we live pursuing our purpose, right? With unshakable faith, but that is our vision. None of us have that figured out completely. And we really need each other to do this. We need each other to really run out that vision. And so when one of us is weak, the other one strengthens them. And when one of us just cannot pray anymore, if you guys have ever felt like that, where you can't even muster up the words, you're confused, the others will intercede on their behalf. When one of us is confused and tired, the others will bring truth and love to their life. That's what we want for you guys. That is what the SVS community is. But we know to live that out, we need to be intentional, right? And that's what we want to talk about today with Johanna, is just what are some of those practicals in planning out that life, to live out a vision of living loved and pursuing our purpose with an unshakable faith, and to live humbly and be courageously kind in all of our actions. We have to be intentional. That is not natural. Can I just get an amen there?
Amen.
That is not a natural, at least for
Preach
me.
Preach it.
Well, it's the truth, right? So Johanna, you have 4 kids. You've been busy.
Yeah. That was natural family planning. I didn't.
That is, raise your voice a little bit more. What was that about? Lack of family planning? Is that what you said?
We did natural family planning. And
Natural.
I knew about one of them.
Nice. Nice. Well, now natural family planning could mean something. I hate to even say this, we're on live. I automatically went to the ovulation method. Yeah. But you don't mean that literally, do you?
Oh, that's what I tried.
Oh.
Now I have 4 sweet children.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love it.
Look at their calendars a lot. I didn't.
Oh my gosh. So what are the ages of the kids?
Lily is 11 and Clara is 9, Asher is 7, Landon is 5.
Oh my goodness. So your oldest is 11.
Yep.
And it's a girl.
Yes.
Okay. So you can tell all of us, you can help Reagan out. Reagan, how's your oldest?
11.
Oh, so you guys are in it together.
Yeah. Yep.
So budding emotions and all that wonderful stuff.
A lot of things are budding right now. That's how the doctor describes it.
So Johanna, tell me a little bit. You're married and you and your husband, how long have you guys been married?
So we'll be married 13 years next month.
Wow.
We have 4 kiddos. I homeschool. My husband works full time.
Okay. And you guys met in Young Life, right?
Yep. I was on staff with Young Life. I was a high school teacher in Minnesota at Teen Challenge in Minneapolis. And with Young Life, and then went on staff with Young Life, and then transferred out to Billings, Montana for a job, and met him the next day. He was a volunteer.
I love it. So was it like love at first sight? Let's go back a little bit further. I know for me, I was one of those girls that I played bride, we walked down the aisle in our white sheet, and I always dreamed of being married and having kids. What did you think your life would be like? Did you dream of having 4 kids and being married and all that stuff?
Eventually, I was thinking more of traveling. I loved the idea of just traveling and watching. Once I came to the Lord in my 20s, watching the Lord do amazing things around the world, however that would work out, mentoring and teaching. And so I did think a husband and kiddos would be in the future. I wasn't expecting to meet Chris the day after I moved here, but he has a crazy story. The long and short of it was he had made a 5-year covenant with the Lord not to date a girl. And that came up the day after I moved to town. So it was crazy, but it was one of those, when we fight now, I'm like, no, Jesus planned this one.
Oh my gosh. So did he break that covenant, or did you guys just stay friends for 5 years?
His 5 years he lived out until I moved to town, and it came up the day after I moved here.
It was up 5 years. So was it like butterflies at first? Was it love at first sight? Was it he grew on you?
He was incredibly awkward. I was his first friend. Everything he did before me was not dating, he would say. And he was my first Christian boyfriend. I had never done the how do you honor God in a relationship thing previous. Right. So we were both completely awkward. He was very truthful, and I just hid everything to make sure I looked great. And then
we don't do that.
No. And so got married, and we dreamed of selling everything and moving, and then got pregnant 4 minutes before, well, it felt like 4 minutes, but
4 minutes, that's all it takes really. But anyway.
It was 4 months into it, got pregnant with our first one. And so we kind of call the 10 years of year 2 to year 11 the years of numb. And so I think I was pregnant and nursing for off and on for 9 years, diapers, the whole deal.
Right.
So yeah, and now we're coming out of the numb. The last 2 years have been an amazing journey with the Lord, and picking back up again, because we are not just parents and just married. We are children of God.
Right. So, right. So now you're sleeping.
No, I was thinking about that today. 2005 was a good year. I slept a
lot.
That's been like 13 years.
Yeah, that was the year with no kids, right?
Kids, yeah.
Yep. We got the same exact everything story. Literally, I feel like I've just met my other half. Okay, so identical though.
Yes. Yep. So God's been in it all, but yeah, it's been a roller coaster.
Well, I can tell, and I've heard that you're like a super go-getter, which you kind of have no choice to be when you have a big family, right? But I'm curious about the homeschooling thing. Had you always planned to homeschool? Was there a spark that you saw along your journey? I know for me, I had worked for a client up in her loft, and I got to hear her homeschooling her kids, years before I ever even got pregnant. And it just planted a seed, like, that's really interesting. So did you always know you wanted to do that, or how did that come about?
No. We both went to public school, and turned out, neither of us knew the Lord in high school. And so we were idiots, really cute idiots. And so
even if you know the Lord in high school, you're sometimes quite an idiot.
Yeah. And then we started having babies, and I still worked with Young Life and had our first baby. And then after that did Young Lives, the teen moms, teen babies, and then had our second baby. And my husband asked me to stay home. So that was the transition from career to at home, which for me as an extrovert was quite a difficult transition for some years. And then we just kind of prayed about it. And I have friends who homeschool who feel they were called by the Lord to do that. Right. I never had that calling. It just kind of made sense, like, we'll figure this out. And then in hopes of it will just kind of mold into our schedule of our life. We don't really run a traditional life. And so we take them out of school and do what we're going to do, and then come back and learn. And so they all play sports. They're all in music. They're all crazy busy.
I love it. So, and to run all of that, let's get into the nitty-gritty of our topic today of just, you can't run a family and have a ministry and I know your heart, when you and I talked earlier, you just sparked up when you talked about women and being able to just get involved in women's lives and encourage them. So I know as a woman and a mom of a big family, there's those heartstrings that pull on us. And in order for us to plan our day, first we have to know what lane we want to stay in, because I'm sure you're called to all kinds of things. I'm sure people just like Cece, Johanna, people are saying, okay, Johanna, come. We would love to have you here. We'd love to have you there. So all these things are pulling at your heartstrings. The first thing I wanted to ask you is, how do you decipher what is in your lane? Like, how do you decipher say no, say no, say no, blinders on, let's stay focused on the lane that God has given me? How do you do that? That's a bit loaded question, so my apologies.
I really thought this was hilarious that this was my topic. Yeah. So it's changed over the years, and I'm sure, Reagan, you can relate as they change, the babies change. And so there's years of just in the house, and it's always a no, because someone's going to throw up or have diarrhea everywhere, and so it's not even worth it. And then that changes, but I've gotten to the point now when it comes to commitments where I pray about every single ask is a yes or no question to the Lord, and I just wait until I hear a yes or no. And so if it's someone wanting for coffee, wanting to be mentored, and I get some weird no's, ones that I wouldn't expect, like women's gatherings or retreats where you'd think, surely I am supposed to go to a women's gathering, and I will pray about it, and the Lord will say no.
Yeah.
And so we'll go, and then he'll confirm it by something else coming up that day or that hour that needed to happen that was more important. And so it's taking time, but it's listening to get the yes or no, and then just in faith responding with that, even if it doesn't make sense.
So do you feel like he speaks as loudly to you as Ollie is right now?
That's Ollie.
Okay, it's my dog. I'm sorry. I'm muting myself because I'm crazy. Happy MLK Day.
But do you feel like sometimes, is it always yes or no? Or do you feel like sometimes there's a little gray and he's asking you to have the faith to say no or the faith to say yes?
Yeah, sometimes it's gray. Yeah. And then that's when I kind of go, okay, common sense here. Yeah. Because I really do want to say yes to everything.
I know.
I've married a wonderful man who is my perfect opposite. And so he likes to say no to everything. And so we do well, like every marriage has a racehorse and a mule. You've got the one that runs and the one that.
Except Cece's. It sounds like they're both racehorses. But
no, it's a racehorse house right here. I love her. Yeah. So it's good because when I don't hear well or clearly or loudly enough, I can ask him and he knows.
Right.
He knows, and he can just look at it and just be like, have you seen our calendar lately? I had 107 updates last week. Can we say no to this one?
Yeah. So he keeps you in check. Like God uses your husband to keep you in check a little bit.
I truly see he is truly my covering, and I probably play over that more than I could in some areas where if I don't get an answer, I'll go to him, and whatever I've learned over 12 years now, whatever he says, if he says yes, I'll take it. If he says no, I'll take it. And if he says, I don't think it's a good idea, but you could try it. I've learned that when I try it, still not a good idea.
Wow.
So even if he uses his little muddled language, I'm like, nah, it's no. Great.
Right. Jamie, can you relate to that? How does that work in your house? I know the answer to this, but I'm just putting the question out there for everyone else.
Yeah. Probably not a good day to talk about this. For me, I'm totally the planner. And I'm definitely the one with more boundaries. I am really probably more to save my family than anything. Because if I overcommit, I am not nice. I lose all ability because everyone becomes a task and everything becomes a task. So I don't care how you feel about it anymore. And I forget that the task was actually for people, for loving on people with God's heart. It just, everybody becomes a checklist. And I know that about myself, and I can sense it when it's happening really quickly. That I'm like, oh yeah. Like as soon as my kids become an interruption to me, then I'm like, okay, I'm back into that task. I've got too much. So Eric is oh yeah, sure. Somebody's moving today. Let's go help them move. And I'm like, and who's taking so-and-so to here, and who's doing this, like love his heart. That was one of the reasons. And I remind myself of that. That was one of the reasons why I married him. Big servant's heart, big heart. But he's the yes guy. So I protect him from saying yes too often.
So clearly we need that in our marriages, right? Clearly, if you're married. Oh, by the way, if you are married, put a little emoji down in the comments. I'm really curious to see if you're married, if you are single, and if you're widowed. We want to see, use some sort of emoji. And if you guys have some creative ideas of what that emoji looks like, we love during the coffee talk to be able to get to know each other's little aspects of our lives. But if you are married, that is an important thing, right? Is having that balance there of being accountable to each other for the schedule. So Johanna, obviously, God is your first filter on what you're planning, right? Are you a planner? Are you an organizer? Because I know when you and I talked earlier, for me, homeschooling, I had to plan my days, I had to plan my weeks, I had to plan my months, I had to plan the entire year of curriculum, Sunday nights. Even I still operate that way. Like last night, this entire week has been planned. And I used to do family schedules where it was literally like, okay, 8 o'clock, the 6-year-old's going to play with the baby. I'll do math with the 8-year-old, like we had a little family schedule. Otherwise, I felt like I was just responding to the needs of everyone. And that's the same with business, with just family life. We typically, if we don't plan, we're just responding. So are you a planner? Are you an organizer? Oh.
Is it low again?
Yes. Okay, there.
Okay. Yeah, I am a planner, and I can be more of a planner now because they're older. There were years of just not being able to plan because I didn't know who was going to be sick, who needed to be fed, all of that. So now more so, my older girls have a planner that they know they have to work through. The younger boys kind of have what they need. And so, yeah, same deal.
Right. What are some of the staples that you put into your planning? So what are some of the like non-negotiables that you do for yourself personally, but then you also are starting to teach your kids to apply into their life?
Non-negotiable is my quiet time in the morning. Used to be a night person till I married a morning person. So, I'm a morning person. So I try to get up a couple hours before the family and then have that time with the Lord. And that's really a non-negotiable. There's usually a day or two during the week I miss it. And it really doesn't go well. Everyone can feel it. Like, Mom didn't get Jesus this morning. I can tell. So that's a non-negotiable. I'll try to work out, 4 to 6 times a week if you can. And that's, too many kids trying to respond to, like, trying to sound out the word the, like, it's not to hey, it's the, I need to go for a run so I can come back. I think those are it. And then some of my non-negotiables that I really enjoy is because my kids are with me from 6:30 in the morning till they go to bed at 8:30 at night. I really enjoy meeting with younger women on Thursdays or Fridays, if that works out.
Right.
So really, and then I have, just a couple, 1 or 2 close friends that every 6 weeks, 4 weeks to 6 weeks, we'll have dinner together and throw up on each other until the next time.
I love it. I love it. So we talked about it last week. You are practicing self-care and times of rest and soul care and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I love how, Deanna talked about John 15. It's all in him. And then last week, that sweet British woman, I want her accent. She, Psalm 127, just we can labor and labor and labor, but he gives to us in our sleep because he loves us so much.
Right.
I feel like that was definitely, I was drowning. Little story. Want to hear a story?
Yes, I'd love to hear a story.
I was drowning November 2016, just like over it, right? Kids all the time, whole thing. Everyone is a task, and I don't want to engage with anyone. I'd rather do dishes than play, kind of deal. Right. And so wishing to go away for my birthday, thinking, let's just go get a hotel. And, so my husband picked up on the frustration and thought it would be wonderful for all of us to go to the hotel room together. So 4 kids at the time, they're 4, 6, 8, and 10, and all of us in a hotel room. And I was trying so hard to be like, this is such a wonderful birthday gift. I'm so grateful. And so anyway, he's like, well, I can tell that you're freaking out, so I'm going to take the kids to the pool. So he took the kids to the pool, and I sat down. I'm an overachiever. I brought 3 to 4 books. I thought surely I could read by the next day. I was just going to read, and the Holy Spirit just stopped me and said, no, we have some stuff we have to deal with. And so he gave me Colossians 3, 1 Corinthians 13, and John 15. And he's like, I just want you to live in these for the next year. And it really came down to engaging and being love, becoming love, do it all out of love. Let the word of Christ richly dwell in you. Let the peace of Christ richly dwell in you, and it'll transform your year. And so that was a gift. Absolutely.
I love it. I love when he gives those to us. Cece, I'm curious. So if we're planners by natural state, And we're overachievers. I think a lot of us are. We want to get it all done, and I used to get a high off of organizing. I would stay up till 1 a.m. and it just felt so good, and I felt so effective. But
what's wrong with you?
We just lost the relatability factor right now.
I want to ask Cece this question because I have a feeling she'll have an answer for us. If that's not the way God wired you, if you're not a planner, does that mean you just live willy-nilly and you're never intentional about all of your decisions? How does that come into play?
Yeah, good question. So one of the things that I've gotten to do through the years is help people reorganize their homes. And that can be anything. Honestly, I've done garages, I've climbed into rafters, we've done the gym tour, we've done taxes for the next year. Whatever the need is, I get to come and just be the hands and feet. Love that time with women. But in that journey, I heard this statement over and over again. I feel I should be able to do this without you, Cece. What's wrong with me that I have to bring you here? And it just doesn't come natural. And one thing that I said to one of the gals years ago was, just so you know, I noticed that while I was here, you made like 4 trays of cookies for your family. Like, your gift is different. And I'm going to be honest, I don't know that I'm going to ever, she does, by the way, make 4 trays of cookies for my family. And
I'll eat 4 trays.
No problem. Right. That's right. So I love, like, Reagan keeps shaking her head, which I love, that she's just like, what the heck? The planning thing, but
I'm the willy-nilly you're speaking to. So yeah. I'm taking notes. All right. If I'm looking down, I'm taking notes. Here, I'm non-planner willy-nilly girls. So there are some of us on this.
Right. And Reagan, like, just in my time that I've known you, you are such a gem in, like, your vision for love and your vision for people and your compassion. I hate that you would over-organize or that you would replace that gift with planning. And so I say this in finishing this question, that run alongside women that maybe have that planner natural ability and glean from them, but don't ever feel bad that you're not Johanna. Mm-hmm. Like I want the Reagans of the world sometimes to take point, even though planning isn't her first, because the way she sees the vision of the day for people around us is like, I love Willy Wonka. It's like Willy Wonka to me, like what the original Willy Wonka, where they just show up there and there's just vision and there's like trees that have candy, not to derail. But anyway, my point is that woman will often have the childlike faith that a planner gal doesn't have in her first slot, I say, and it's down there. And Reagan is going to pull that up out of the planner women. And so it's back to SVS. We need each other. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And Johanna and I talked about that this morning too, of just the beauty of the community is that we're all different. And what the enemy would love is for us to size each other up and figure out where we fall into this and start to think that we need to be more like this other person, or we need to be, and we can all learn from each other. But I think that's the beauty in finding our lane, is just being able to run in that lane and grab those strengths from each other. And it's a freedom. That is where that living and life of freedom in Christ. It's so freeing to be like, so I'm a willy-nilly it, right, Reagan?
I am. If anybody saw our Instagram live, I showed underwear in my floor of my office. Okay. That's not planned out. No. All right. That doesn't go there. No.
But would you guys agree? Would you agree that in order, like Reagan, in order for you to, we've already talked, Johanna's mentioned quiet time with God, working out. We've all talked about that as being, getting the funk out and really just purging the physiological effects of working out, not just the spiritual effects of it. But quiet time with God, working out, whatever refuels you, whether it's crafts, God bless you, or it's hiking alone in the woods or something like that. Would you guys agree that those have to be intentionally placed in our life by us? Like, they don't just happen. Like, oh, look at that, a gym. I think I'll stop by and go work out. Like it has to be intentional. So Johanna, you mentioned quiet time and working out. What are some habits that you've put into place to keep your marriage secure? I'm assuming it's secure.
So secure. Yeah. We haven't been good with any of the any of the suggested, like, you need to schedule date night. You need to getaways. We haven't been good with any of that. So, yeah.
I'll take that as an answer. That's a good answer. So, I mean, it's life.
It really is. It really is life. And so he was wonderful in those years where we were kind of numb and I really felt like I was drowning and sad a lot.
Right.
He was really good at just saying, we're going to make it. Just, like, we're not going to have date night probably for a few months, but we're going to make it, Mm-hmm. And so, we're not good on that spectrum of it. And we're tag teaming a lot of the time and flow in out of tag team, friendship, married, kind of flow through all of it. We do men in marriage.
Right. Jamie, you guys have always set a really good example on that habit of connecting in your marriage. What's one thing you guys do?
Well, honestly, I mean, I think just to speak to all the moms that have like 10 and under, 11 and under, 12 and under, I remember having my first one. So he's 15. And I remember sitting on the couch, nursing him. And I'm like, Eric's sitting next to me. And I said, I don't think I'm ever going to spend time with you ever again. This is now my life, like me with a child. And then I had 3 more, right? And so I can remember looking at my friends and they would go to a concert. I'm like, I'm never going to be able to do that. I'm like, I mean, I don't have the time or the money. Like these guys are little siphons, they're siphoning my energy. They're siphoning my, and so I remember really feeling like that night was never going to end. And now I'm making it sound like I don't like motherhood. Maybe it's the day. I don't know. I kind of today. But I love being a mom, but I really did feel like you mentioned, Johanna, maybe a little bit of like, and so, I would say that our habits then had to look different than what they do now. So I just want to make sure that those young moms that are like, yeah, right, Jamie, we don't have your lifestyle. You're right. Because I have a 15-year-old that I have said, if you want a phone, you're going to watch your little brothers. So he does that once a week. And he still tries to bargain as to how long that is. Usually it's a couple hours. Sometimes I can talk him into 4, like if we pick up Dairy Queen on the way home or something like that. But we kind of set it up and I kind of have to plan it as to what's going to happen. Like, because his next brother in line also likes to be in charge or maybe just not under his brother's care. So we plan the whole thing, but once a week we do get away for 2 to 4 hours. Sometimes I say that wasn't so much a date as a break. Sometimes it's just a break. Like our talk has been the tag team talk of, okay, so I did this, and this for those 3. This one needs to go at this time. Dinner's in the stove, and I just need you to add this to it. That's the kind of talk that we do. Right. So sometimes just the break of talking a little past that is really beneficial. I'm a quality time girl. So other things that I think we've shifted in our marriage. So we've been married 17 years, I guess, and it wasn't this way always, but I think the more kids you add, the more you're like, all right, where are we going to find a window? We used to go to bed at different times all the time because he was a night person and I wasn't. And so that changed. Like the kids will go in bed and we don't go to sleep. Like he might read or I might be doing something else but every once in a while we'll say, hey, so tonight, like when kids are in bed, let's talk for a little bit so sometimes it's like a 15-minute of, checking in and finding out more details or like, oh my gosh, I didn't tell you this really exciting thing. And so, yeah, those are little habits, I guess, that we have learned to develop over time and have evolved as the kids get older. So yeah, find your bargaining chip as your child gets old enough and that the law allows you to let them stay home alone. I mean, I wanted to do that when the oldest was 9. You know, I'm like, is he old enough yet?
Well, and then what happens? You go, and then every cop you see and every ambulance you see, you wonder if they're headed back to your house.
Actually, I don't do that.
I never do that.
I'm like,
Freedom
help's on
right
the way.
there.
It's all right. You know,
Freedom right there.
Oh man. Well, you know, I think that that's one thing that I've noticed is so vital with keeping healthy relationships with your kids. We've even dated our kids. So planning out the month and saying, okay, you're going to take this one on a date on Saturday night. I'm going to take this one on a date on Thursday night, and dating your kids. But you guys, it doesn't happen unless we put it in the calendar. Like it's just not something that naturally happens. I remember a season in our life, well, we had to schedule like, we had to like schedule it because it just wasn't going to happen. Yeah. So living intentionally it takes some serious proactive planning. And Johanna, you know, one of the things I love Proverbs 16:9, where it says we can make our plans, but the Lord directs our steps. So how, you know, next week we're going to be kind of diving into another subject of this, like we have this plan, but then it gets disrupted. It doesn't quite go the way we thought it was going to go down. So knowing that we've got this plan, how do you remain palms up? How do you remain open-handed to where you did get that yes from him and you went forward, and then it wasn't at all what you thought it was going to be?
I think I oftentimes will look at my calendar or my planner or whatever's happening and just literally take that verse like, okay, Lord, I've made my plans. So now you take the highlighter or delete. And it's fun to see who calls and cancels and what happens all throughout the week, because he does. When I give it up to him, you know, he'll do it anyway, but with the open hands, he'll start canceling appointments, deleting things all the way through. And then some of the things that I think for sure, this is it. And then he changes it. Psalm 90 is one of my favorites. And at the end of it, it says like, Lord, confirm to me the work of my hands, and like, make me, because you're with me, make me successful in this for your glory. And so if it doesn't look like what I want it to look like, I'm in faith saying, confirm it to be what you want it to be, because I'm pretty sure this was a yes in your kingdom.
I love that. I love that. So we plan these things. We plan our dates with our husbands. We plan our time of encouraging other women, and we plan our, you know, things that we need to get done with our businesses. But yet I love hearing that you have it all planned out strategically, but yet you're remaining surrendered in all of those activities. I love that. Well, let's wrap this up, you guys. Do you guys have, I'd love to go around and see one practical habit that our SVS followers could apply today to plan the rest of their week. We'll start with you, Cece.
Well, I just, a little shout out to who's been called our willy-nilly. Of all of us, she is the girl that got her workout in.
Right.
Oh. Yeah. So I don't really know that we can give her the willy-nilly. So just
I'm still willy-nilly.
Yeah. So I'm going to just say workout. And then a props to this girl who said she doesn't date her husband. I've seen text messages heading out on a date with my husband.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is you might be more of a success as a planner than you think you are. So date your husband and try for that workout.
I love it. Reagan?
Well, honestly, I'm still the willy-nilly. I don't want to, I definitely start out strong, but anybody that's known me by week 4 of this, of my workout, you guys be like, why are you in workout clothes anymore? Yeah, but I'm not going to let that happen. I feel like the most important thing, you guys all said it about being intentional, and especially for those of us, intentionality. Like when you said 107 things on your planner or updates, 107 updates, literally, I already started to get a headache. Like, I hate that. It feels like I'm stifled. I'm in a box. I'm already claustrophobic. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't got any room to breathe today. Who planned it all out? And I'm married to a planner. So that being said, I feel like I'm speaking directly to me's out there, all of you ladies, or maybe your poor husbands that are like me, that my one thing that I do, this sounds like such an infomercial, is I surround myself with planners. Like those are the people I'm drawn to. And I have like given myself that freedom to say like, how do you do this? Like, help me. And they think I'm kidding. No, I've got one coming over today to help me figure out which furniture should go in my house. Another coming over to help me like figure out this meal planning stuff. The only reason I'm working out is thanks to Jamie down there. Like, I wouldn't do this on my own. I say that I want to live intentionally, and us non-planners, you know it. We have the best intentions. We are so wanting to do this. This is the listening to these women is who we want to be in our inside. We all know that, but it never happens unless we honestly kind of like almost grab onto their coattails and just be like, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm holding on. Oh, is that how you put it? Is that how you put something in your phone calendar? Like, that's what I start to do. Like, literally, I add stuff to my calendar and I look at other people that do it and I copy them and I ask them to help me. So find friends, get in the community, even on the page, if you're just like, help me, I'm struggling with this area of being intentional, this area of planning. Like, even if you're in the comments and the replay, somebody will log on by one of us and will literally give you tips. Because I'll probably still be doing that because I want to hit up all the time with all the areas of need that I still have, you know? So yeah, that's it. Find somebody to help you. That's my thought.
Yeah, that's perfect. Jamie?
And you are muted. Okay.
Yeah, I was unmuting myself there, trying to get in a way. Well, I mean, so like planning is close to my heart. And so I'm like, one thing. And I got a bazillion things that I could say or that I could get really excited about. But then I feel like maybe I should talk to the planners and to the temptation in me to hold on to your plan so that you feel in control, secure, and certain.
Oh, good.
You're really good at planning. I've been planning out my life since I came out. And I told my mom what my plan was, you know? And
she's like, suction, I need a suction now.
Yeah. I had instructions and I give instructions. That's like what I do for a living. So, but while that is maybe something that Reagan would be like, oh, I want that. What you don't want is to rely on that for you to feel good about yourself or your life. And so those of you girls that are awesome at planning and you're like, this has been nice to listen to them, but I'm actually feeling really good about myself because I've got my plans, I got my calendars, I got my highlighters. I'm like, I am rocking this planning thing, been doing it. I'm just going to speak to you. Just put yourself in check a little bit. I love what Johanna said and I wrote it down. So maybe I'll repost it here in the page. I texted it to myself because that's all I had. But the idea of I made my plans, you take the highlighter and delete. The idea of, okay, I've done my best to hear you and put it down into action steps. And I'm going to start going. I always tell God that. I'm always like, all right, I'm going. So like red light me, give me a red light, you know, otherwise, you know me, I'm going. So anyway, just a little maybe practical for those planners is to ask the Lord to highlight, delete, and give you some red lights more often.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And that we could be so sensitive to that, you know? Okay, Johanna, no pressure, but wrap us up, girlfriend.
Well, honestly, for the planners, because I'm a planner, and for the non-planners, because you are my grace and my joy, and I love you, and I need to be surrounded by you. The one, I sit there with my planner and with my day, and the song that is going through my head that has got me, I was on my knees while the soup was boiling the other day crying at this song. And the one part of it says, hallelujah, all I have is Christ. Hallelujah, Jesus is my life. And it says, now, Lord, I would be yours alone to live so all might see the strength to follow your commands. And I would say your planner, Jesus. Could never come from me. Father, use my ransom life in any way you choose. So that's all we have at the end of it. Like, I can have a beautiful calendar and very educated children and all my stuff in a row. And but at the end, all I have is Jesus. And so that's my tip on how to plan. All you have is Jesus.
That's good. Yeah. That's so, we're going to leave on that with Reagan crying and
it is all grace, no guilt. No guilt.
No. And you know what's so beautiful about that is SVS, you know, our vision of living loved.
Yeah.
And that dichotomy of pursuing our purpose with an unshakable faith, but living in freedom of not striving.
Yeah.
You know? Of just keeping ourselves humbled and knowing that everything we do is for him. It just takes that pressure off. So, I love you guys. Yeah. Let's continue this conversation throughout the week in the comments. If you have a question for Johanna, I'm sure she would be more than happy to maybe put a little 5-minute planner in her week to join us back into the comments.
No pressure.
No pressure.
Plan it, put it down. Right.
I'll pray about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Answer the questions. Hope, just pray that God says yes to her. No. But we'd love to continue that conversation. And you guys never feel like a question you're going to ask in the comments is a dumb question, because most likely everyone else is thinking it. They just haven't asked it yet. Because you guys, we're all on that. Never. That is one thing the enemy would love, is for you to think that you're the only one struggling in a certain area. And it is not true at all. So we're all figuring this out, but man, it helps to figure it out together. We have so much to learn from each other. So Johanna, thank you so much for joining us.
Honor.
And we'll see you guys on the page this week. We're going to be talking about this topic all week. If you have some tips of habits and just some practical things that you've applied in your life that you're like, oh my gosh, this freed me up, I wish someone would have told me 10 years ago, share it with us so that we can share it with everyone else. So, all right, you guys, have a happy Monday.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.